Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. A couple of updates here. Number one, I had a great time at the party last night, the debate watching party. It was hosted by the American Jewish Conservatives, but there was a lot of other groups there. There was the America First Works. You hear some of their representatives on the James Show on a semi-regular basis, and then there was some people there selling Trump merchandise. I had a little table there with my bingo card set up. And thank you to the promotion staff here at Cumulus, because I showed up with a big bag of prizes. And it wasn't anything like spectacular. It wasn't like a new car. But I was giving out the little stress balls and bottle openers and some T-shirts and a few other little tchotchkes. And it was bingo card number 3 that hit first. And so I was in this big theater. And I was like, raise your hand if you have bingo card number 3, and I just walked around with a big bag. People stuck their hand in like they were trick-or-treating, and we had a good old time, man. I'll tell you a little bit more about the story in a couple segments. I got to meet Ken Paxton and hang out with Alan West, and there's some stuff going on tomorrow that I want to tell you about too, so stick around on that. But I want to ask my next guest. Lisa Miller's been on the show before. Your thoughts. Who do you think won the debate last night, Lisa?
Well, given that I'm a data person, I'll tell you what I've been seeing in all this data is from a kind of personality standpoint, the polls are kind of leaning towards Harris. However, when you look at some of the key issues like the economy, immigration, Trump won by like 23 points and bigger margins than he had previously. So, it's interesting in your setup there about playing bingo. I think there was a lot of people, really just watching it kind of not only from the politics side, but also kind of was the shoe going to drop? And the whole thing was Trump going to take a debate, like BAIT debate?
Right.
And so I think it kind of, I think it's mixed right now, but it just depends on what data you're looking at right now.
Well, it was being treated more as a spectacle, almost like a sporting event. No one was going in trying to get to the nuances of policy positions. This is just all about, can she come across not looking like an idiot, and can he come across not looking like a bully? And in that respect, the debate's not over. The debate's not really we're not going to know the effect of the debate until about 2 or 3 days after the people who didn't watch it filter through the reports on it and form their own opinion. And how long do you think it takes before we really know, as a data person, before we really know who won the debate?
Let me comment on something you said earlier, is that I do think people were kind of feeling like that was this little spectacle or entertainment value just for the things that you were just talking about, just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. But it does take, I'm waiting to see what the viewership numbers were just to see how it compared. And honestly, I had data questions in after the Biden-Trump and the viewership was not as much as you would think. So I think you're right, is that people are going to kind of see what the narratives are, kind of read and make their own opinion. But I think a couple of points I'll make here is that Harris actually is pretty good in debate performance. If you go back and you look at some of the data from 2019 and 2020, she presents herself well as, smart, educated. She was clearly well prepared. And so that performance, people are getting to know her from that regard. And then on the Trump side, I think he did, what the polls are saying is he did come across as a little defensive and maybe repetitive. But that might be a little expected from the Trump side anyway. So at the end of the day, it's still after yesterday, it's going to boil down to the 7 states, the independents, and kind of where they net out. And there's still a lot of playtime left in this game, let's just say.
Right, a lot of time on the clock. How do they find your work outside of the James Show, Lisa?
They can visit me at lwm-associates.com or just hashtag Journey Back to Joy, and they'll find all of my research and comments.
Thank you very much. Lisa W. Miller back on the James Show. I appreciate your time, Lisa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Susan in Richardson, you're on WBAP. Who do you think won last night's debate?
Well, I think Trump won the debate basically because he's already proven himself and people, know what his policies are. I'm pretty sick and tired of people criticizing and nitpicking exactly how his tone of voice is or what he does. I mean, what I want to ask those people is he's laid his life down to preserve our republic. I don't know what anyone who's criticized him has done. So
well, you got to remember, there's a lot of people out there who hadn't heard anything about that story in about 2 months. I mean, it happened 2 months ago. Some people talked about it for about 2 or 3 days and then have completely memory hold that. He is in the unenviable position of he has to convince these people, this guy you've been trained to hate, can you vote for him in exchange for groceries not going up so fast in the next 4 years? And I think it doesn't have to get any deeper than that. And while it sucks and it's not fair that this has turned into a personality contest, damn it, he needs to play that game.
Yeah, I just don't know if he's capable of it. I mean, I think he's what you see. He's a man of action. He's not a smooth talking liar. And so what if they sound good if it's all lies?
I agree. I wish it didn't matter. I wish it didn't matter. Because you're totally right. Susan Richardson, thank you very much for calling the James Show. If you want to be next, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I want to talk to you, ask you who you thought won the debate. And then I'm going to start sprinkling in some audio of people that watch the debate, these little focus groups. What did the people from CNN that were watching think? What did the people, Dr. Phil had a focus group. What did they think? Because it might be a little different than what you expect. So stick around. This is coming up on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Talking about last night's debate with you. 800-288-9227 if you want to jump in. 800-288-9227. And coming up in a couple segments, I'm going to tell the story about the debate watching party I went to last night, just to give you an idea of some extra spice. We were at the Angelica movie theaters at Mockingbird Station, and we were in Theater 4. That's right. The American Jewish Conservatives, the Dallas County Republican Party, America First Works, and some Trump merchandisers, WBAP. We all had tables set up, and we were having our debate watching party in Theater number 4. In Theater number 6, the Dallas County Democrats were having a debate watching party. Oh, my goodness! There were some tense moments when people were standing in line to get popcorn or their fourth beer. Just hypothetically speaking, that wasn't me, that's for sure. So yeah, a lot to talk about. Also, I just saw a headline pop up. We have new debate news. The Kamala Harris campaign is challenging Donald Trump to another debate. Now, I clicked through to see what the settings were, so what are the debate parameters that they're asking for? And this doesn't sound right. I think they're just trying to set up Trump to turn it down so he looks bad, because you think last night's debate was a little biased. This one looks like it's even worse. First off, it'll be on MSNBC. It'll be, I know, one strike against it. It'll be hosted at the University of Berkeley. It'll be at their monthly LGBTQ meeting. It'll be moderated by Kamala's Marxist professor father. Trump's mic will only be unmuted for 12 seconds at a time. Kamala is going to gets to deliver the final closing statement, but in exchange for that, Trump has to be wearing the big pink bunny suit from A Christmas Story. So I don't think he should agree to. I don't know. I made those rules up. I don't know what the rules are. But yeah, hey, debate again. That'd be great. All right, to the phones we go. 800-288-9227. Jokes aside, Ron and Garland, what'd you think of last night's debate, sir?
Good afternoon. Well, I like Trump, and the only reason I'd say he won is because he did hit her on the policies that matter. Now, if you still want gas prices that are $3 and whatever now, instead of $2 and $1.95, then that's what you're going to get if you elect them. Okay, and if you want the grocery prices high, which they haven't come down, and he did hit her really hard at the very end with the closing. He told her, he said, "Why haven't y'all done anything in 4 years?" Which is the truth. So if that doesn't sway anybody, then evidently they don't need to be voting. Period. It's a matter of what you want good for this country nowadays, because this country is no good under these people's rule anymore.
Well, you almost sound hesitant to say that, like you're saying a bad thing. Like maybe you don't need to be voting. I've been a big believer in an anti-get out the vote kind of guy. You know how all these people are like, you need to vote or die or get out the vote or MTV's Rock the Vote. I hate those campaigns, because if you're not paying attention to politics enough that you don't go vote without your favorite pop star telling you, your favorite actor telling you, or some PSA on TV telling you, then you're not qualified to vote.
Yep. Well, and another thing, as old as I am now, it all comes down to economics. It does.
I wish. I wish it did.
If you don't have good common sense, which we all know, a lot of these people don't. And I did watch this Dr. Phil thing. I saw it on the video a while ago on my phone.
Wasn't that great?
And well, I can't understand what this friggin' audience was thinking.
All right.
Well, Trump didn't talk about the border and all this other crap.
I love it, Ron.
Talked about.
Let me play that clip. Ron, you just set it up perfectly. Great call. Ron from Garland gets 3 points, Garrett. Give him some points for having such a good call. I've been dying to play this. Dr. Phil had a little focus group, and he was asking them afterwards, who do they think won the debate? And it's kind of not the answers you expected. It's not stereotypical.
Raise your hand if the border's a big issue. Okay. Who won?
By the way, most of the people raised their hand when he said that. He's talking to a crowd, it looks like about 30, 40 people.
The debate about the border tonight. If you think that Kamala Harris had the strongest position on the border tonight, raise your hand.
4 people raised their hand.
4 of you. Well, if you think President Trump had the strongest position on the border, raise your hand.
And not everybody else, but about 30 people raised their hand. So, yeah, when you break it down by these policy preferences, when you look at the polls, who does better on the economy, who does better on the border, who does better in foreign policy. If we were blind going in there just voting for policies, Trump would run away with this. And it shouldn't matter. And I know it breaks your heart that it matters, but this personality stuff does. There are dumb people out there who vote based on whether or not, he seems like a nice guy. I know it's a terrible way to arrange statecraft for the most powerful government on the planet. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that button there. I was done with Ron. Sorry about that. Let's go to Ann in Southlake. Ann, you're on WBAP. Can you make it quick? I got about a minute.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to say that your 2 previous callers were men, one from California, one was independent. And they seem to think Kamala conducted herself professionally when she had these weird facial gestures and with her hands underneath her chin. I felt like she looked smug when she made them, condescending. And I was just curious how they found her professional. She
they teach you.
Arrogant.
Yeah, in these PR situations, they teach you as long as you're smiling, it's hard to look like a bad person. And the facial expressions, as long as they're happy, even if it's an obviously pretend happiness, you can't give them anything where I can take a screenshot of you and make you look bad if you're smiling. And the hand gestures were kind of weird. I felt like it was like Ricky Bobby doing his first interview, like he didn't know what to do with his hands. And then it sort of morphed into where she put it under her chin like it was Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite when she was taking the pictures.
High school. At one point, it looked, when he mentioned about her dad, it looked to me like she was a upset high school kid. That's what they kind of do, the girls in high school.
Right, and I did that exact same pose at Olin Mills when I was like a junior in high school. Or it might have been the Sears Portrait Gallery. Remember Sears? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. 55 days until the election. We'll ask a political science professor from SMU his insights on last night's debate, and I'd love to hear from you as well. Coming up next on The James Show, it's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I know, let's go. Pretty good debate last night. I'll be telling you about my debate party excitement yesterday. I got to meet Attorney General Ken Paxton again, and former Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, who right now is the chairman of the Dallas County Republican Party. And they also have an event coming up tomorrow, and Allen West will be on the show to talk about that. John Rich is going to be at Gilley's, and there's going to be a concert and sort of a big party and fundraiser and a meet and greet and a VIP reception that they might let me into anyway, even though I'm not even an IP, but much less a VIP. So look, the party is not done. There's a lot going on. My next guest, coming back from SMU, political science professor Matthew Wilson. First off, who do you think won last night's debate, Matt?
I got to be honest. I think Kamala Harris had the stronger performance, but that's to a pretty low bar. She had the stronger performance because Donald Trump let her bait him into all of the things, every trap she set, he stumbled into. And I know that was very, very frustrating for a lot of his advisors. that he kept taking the bait and kind of losing focus and not pressing the case about her leftist radicalism and her lack of substance on policy. Donald Trump's surrogates after the debate did a much better job of taking the case to Kamala Harris than Trump himself did during the debate. And so I think that the Trump campaign found that rather frustrating. Now, that said, it wasn't a catastrophic debate for Trump the way it was a catastrophic debate for Biden back in June.
Right.
Nothing of that scale or magnitude. But I think it was a missed opportunity for President Trump to really push the case against Kamala Harris.
What do you think that is? Was it just a lack of prep? Because he's not known for sitting down and getting coached and memorizing some talking points like most politicians do. And, for the most part, I think that's worked for him in the past. So it would kind of be hard to talk him into that.
Yeah, he's not strong on the numbers, the facts, the figures, the specifics, and he, in some ways, in the past, he hasn't needed to be. More than that, though, I think the unfortunate thing for him was that he got sucked into arguments about things like the crowd size, at the respective crowd sizes at their rallies.
I know, right? Just let it go.
Let it go, exactly. And going back and rehashing stuff about was there fraud in the 2020 election? I mean, whatever people think about that, most voters want to look ahead, not back to 2020. And then he also got, sucked into the weird line about the pets vanishing in Ohio. I don't think that does him any good. There were just a lot of things where, he could have been really focused on things that would have really hurt Kamala Harris and got involved in these kind of digressions.
So do you think this is going to move the needle in the polls? I know it's impossible to predict the future, but, you see this a lot.
I think it will move the needle in her favor in the short term. Now, we've still got more than 2 months until Election Day. And I think by the time we roll into November, this is largely going to have been forgotten. But her momentum was ebbing. Clearly, she was not in as strong a position as she was a couple of weeks ago. And this probably gives her another little shot in the arm. Democrats were certainly excited and pleased with her performance. And so I think this lets her ride the momentum wave a little bit longer. So I think she'll get some benefit at least short term out of it.
So why is it that a Republican always has to acquiesce and take part in a debate that is hosted on a hostile platform with hostile moderators, but we don't see that being forced on the other side? Why do we have such a political imbalance in debates, Matt?
It's a very good question, and it's getting to the point where it may jeopardize the possibility for future debates. That is, I think Donald Trump and other Republicans can very legitimately ask, why are CNN and NBC and ABC presumed to be valid, legitimate debate moderators, but Fox News is just regarded as unacceptable or beyond the pale? They see that as an imbalance, and I think Donald Trump might agree to another debate if it were to be hosted by Fox News. But Kamala Harris is never going to agree to that. So, I think that means that we're unlikely to get another presidential debate this cycle. And I think going forward in future years, we're going to have a real difficulty finding moderators that both sides agree will be fair and balanced.
How much does it make you want to tear your hair out that there was not one question asked about the Constitution or the constitutionality or anything related to the founding document and base of our entire political structure?
Yeah, that is a little frustrating, and particularly given that, let's be honest, both of these candidates sometimes play a little fast and loose with the constitutional document, and it would have been I think healthy to hear them talk about that in some level of seriousness, but that just wasn't a high priority for the moderators in framing the questions.
All right, Matthew Wilson, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
See, he sounds very reasonable, not emotional, sticking to the issues, calling balls and strikes, very fair. He is better qualified to be a debate moderator than what we had last night. Wouldn't that be nice if Matthew Wilson moderated the next debate? Let's do Matthew Wilson and like another guy who's just kind of iffy, like a Joe Rogan. Wouldn't Joe Rogan be a good debate moderator? Why do we have these nerds? David Muir? What good was that? Does anybody relate to David Muir? Anyway, we have some good calls lined up. And you can jump in line, 800-288-9227. The basic questions are still at play. Who do you think won last night's debate and why? Coming up next, though, I'll be talking about my debate watching party last night at the Angelica Movie Theater. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-9227 if you want to jump in on the conversation. I was just replying to some of the comments here because we have, in order to facilitate, communication and constructive criticism, the ABC News, their Facebook page is now linked on the WBAP Facebook page. So if you want to click through and go ahead and tell them what a great job they did moderating the debate last night and being completely fair with both of the candidates. I'm just having fun with that because on that post where we shared it, some guy was like, hang on, what was it? Frank, the truth is Trump got exposed. No one is eating dogs and cats in Ohio. The conspiracy theory made him look kind of kooky. Go look it up, Frank. Did you not even Google it for 5 seconds? I mean, I've already played audio of people eating dogs and cats in Springfield. I played the audio. In fact, I linked to the one where the guy called in. He's like, hey, 4 Haitians just went and each are carrying a duck that they killed at the park. And this is all happening in Springfield. And like for the dude of the one about the cat, I mean, this is awful and gross, but this is from body cam footage. Did you eat a cat? I mean, all you got to do is look it up, Frank. All you got to do is a quick Google search.
Why'd you kill the cat? Smile for me. Smile with your teeth. Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it?
Yeah, that cat that's spit roasting in your front yard. You didn't happen to do that for culinary purposes, did you? Or were you just burning off the fur from the car? What are you, a taxidermist? What were you doing there? Look, and this keeps coming up. Hang on, before I get to my story about the debate watching party, been hearing this all day too. Gina and Keller, you're on WBAP. Your takeaway from the debate?
I saw Hillary with a cord up her back.
Hillary or Kamala?
No, Hillary. And now Kamala has an earpiece in her ear too.
You know what? People have showed me the side-by-side of the earring that Kamala was wearing last night compared to this one earpiece earring that looks just like it, and it's for, clandestine communication. And, if you're right, Gina, is the rest of the world going to know? Will ABC ever report that?
If we get the news out, yeah.
Well, the ABC's not going to get the news out. If a tree falls in the forest, no one's around, it's not going to be heard by swing voters. Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate you waiting to tell that. I'm not telling you you're crazy. I don't know if that's an earpiece or not. I wouldn't put it past them, but I've heard that from about 11 people since the show began. So thank you for actually hanging on and telling the rest of the world about it, Gina. All right. Now, last night, it was a special night. Debate watching party was being hosted by the American Jewish Conservatives, our good friend Benji Gershon, same group that did the event at the Frontiers of Flight Museum last week. They hosted my buddy Evan Sayed a few months ago for another speaking engagement. They've been doing a lot of cool stuff around town, and it was them. America First Works. There was a table there for some Trump merchandise. They had all kinds of MAGA hats and Trump gear and fight shirts. They had Israel 365 was there. I was there with my own table giving away like WBAP koozies and stuff and bingo cards. But the real highlight of the night was the fact that two superstars of the movement were in attendance. Attorney General for the great state of Texas, Ken Paxton, was there. And Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, who is right now the Dallas County Republican Party chair, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really cool because like last week when we got to line up and a bunch of people had their picture taken with Ted Cruz, this time it was the lineup, get your picture taken with Ken Paxton. So that was cool because I never know if these guys put two and two together. I've interviewed Ken Paxton on the radio probably 10 times, probably like 5 times this year. And I don't know if he's ever seen me in person. In fact, at this point, I don't know if I've ever seen him in person. I mean, I've been in the same room. I think I might have interviewed him at a table in a Radio Row at like some conference at some point, but there's no way he remembers me. There's just no way he remembers me. But when I can tell when I say my name, I'm James Parker from WBAP, the eyebrows go up. I get the little nod. Oh yeah, that does sound familiar. Well, nice to meet you. So we had our picture taken. At this point, Allen West. Now, Allen West lives here and on a full-time basis. Ken Paxton's back and forth between Austin and I think he has a house in like the McKinney area or something. But I need to get to the point to where when these guys see me, they say, "Hey, James, how's it going?" So I got to sit next to Alan West for a while, and we were on the front row when the debate started. Super nice guy. I've met him a few times now. He's starting to remember me. But that's not even the funnest part. The funnest part was we're in Theater 4 with all the MAGA people. In Theater 6 was the Democrats watching party. And I didn't know they were going to be there. They didn't know we were going to be there. But we figured it out really quick. I go to well, I was going to say popcorn, but who we kidding? I was getting a beer. So I have beer at the Angelica. So I'm waiting in line to get a beer. And these two old ladies are jawing in front of me. And I don't mean that as like an insult when I say old. I just mean they were at least 60, probably, maybe even 70. And so one old lady is wearing a MAGA hat. She's got the red baseball cap on, and she's wearing a shawl that is nice, flowy, artistic, abstract-looking painting of the American flag. So she looks very patriotic, very American, very Team Red. She was having an exchange with a lady who was in a blue shirt that said, "Protect children, not guns." Which I know you want to argue with the shirt, like, can't we do both? Or how about we protect children with guns? Or, look, I'm just telling you what she was wearing. I was telling you that she was identifying her political ideology. And these ladies were doing, like, it was almost sweet. Because when me and my friends trash talk each other, it gets really bad really quick. They would probably say, "You're a little overweight." But if I had like a fat friend, I'd be like, "Matt, I have 5 fat friends and you're 4 of them." Like, that's how we talk to each other, right? But these sweet old ladies, she was like, "You really need to rethink the message on your hat. Well, you really need to rethink the message on your shirt." Well, I don't think America would be better off if there was more people like you. Like, it was almost the sweetest insults you've ever heard because they're old as heck and they're not going to fight. Where they going to start hitting each other with their purses? They're gonna take some swings. You're gonna try and knock each other out. No, man, it got really awkward and tense though, because as more people were showing up and the lines were getting longer and more dense at the concession area, you had Team Blue lined up right behind Team Red with the Team Blue behind them, behind the Team Red, and it was totally mixed and it was kind of tense in there. It was a little weird. First, the age differences were hilarious because the MAGA crowd, on average, significantly older than the Team Blue crowd. And the Team Blue crowd was almost all women. Now, I don't want to be like shallow or reductive or a creeper or whatever, but it was a mix. Some of them were absolutely beautiful. Some of them looked like the bar scene from Star Wars, and there was everything in the middle. But there was only like 4 or 5 guys that I saw coming out of the Team Blue theater. Now, granted, I consider myself a libertarian and I don't fit easily into either box, but I have far more in common with the Team Red crowd. But I was wanting to check out the Team Blue theater just because I like the ratio a little better. Other than that, everybody got along. We had a great time playing bingo. I thought about sharing some of my extra bingo cards with Team Blue, but I don't know if they would appreciate my sense of humor. I would have liked to have them listening to my show today because I would like to hear from them. I would like to hear what they thought about the debate. So if you are listening, if you were on Team Blue at the Team Blue debate watching party at the Angelica, please call in. But really, it was a good time by all. And the people who are causing problems in the society, whether they have problems with addiction or they're criminals or they're homeless or they're committing crimes, rape or whatever, it ain't the people in either one of those theaters. Those people in those theaters, even if I don't agree with you, at least you're trying. At least you're engaged with your civic responsibilities and making an effort to be informed, to be a part of the political process, to do something to make change in this world. And for real, make change, not camping out at UT Dallas and getting arrested or not trying to block a highway or block the entrance to the Dallas Love Field. So God bless all those crowds. It was great people on both sides. It was a fun experience. Next time I tell you to go to a debate watching party, you need to go. And in the next segment, when I tell you about this concert that's happening tomorrow, you need to think really hard about going to that. Details coming up in 9 minutes on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Look, I think I owe some people an apology here. We figured out what Trump was talking about when he was talking about people eating dogs and cats and whatnot. I don't think he was talking about Springfield, Ohio specifically. I think he was talking about your former president, Barack Obama. Remember in his audiobook, he admitted he ate a dog meat back in the day?
And away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshopper, crunchy.
Ew, that's right. He grew up in Indonesia, eating all kinds of weird food, going to a Muslim school. His last name was Sotiro. But other than that, he's just like your regular black neighbors. At least it gave him a good joke at the Correspondence Center, White House Correspondence Center. He joked about it.
Even Sarah Palin's getting back into the game.
Whoops. Let me do that again.
Even Sarah Palin's getting back into the game. Guest hosting on the Today Show, which reminds me of an old saying. What's the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? A pit bull is delicious.
Like they don't know, am I supposed to laugh? Because that would make him look like a dog eater. He is a dog eater. He ate a dog. Wasn't a big deal when he did it, but now all of a sudden, a couple of Haitians want to eat some dogs, and now all of a sudden we got to close the border. Victoria Coates is on from the Heritage Foundation. Sorry for the dog eating lead in, but I mean, it's a fair question. Have you ever eaten a dog, Victoria?
I have not. I just fed my dogs, but I don't eat them, no.
Right. I feed my dogs. My dogs don't feed me. Who was the winner from your point of view last night, Victoria?
Well, I don't know that I saw a winner in this particular debate. It was so skewed, and I think it really pointed out what a very good job had been done by Dana Bash and Jake Tapper in the CNN debate in terms of being, pretty honest interlocutors. And then last night was so heavily biased against former President Trump. I think that's pretty clear to everyone. So while technically the vice president may have scored more points, I think this is going to be something of a wash just because most people who have made up their minds, this wasn't going to change their minds. And I also don't think there was anything in it that would help the undecided make up their minds. So I would see this, as I said, as sort of a wash.
Yeah, and I was trying to talk to an undecided today, and I only got to talk to one person who says they were on the fence. And I don't see how anybody saw anything that could help them make their decision last night. And that's exactly what a debate's supposed to do, Victoria.
Ideally, yes. But again, if you have people running the debate, like David Muir, whose coverage of the vice president has been 100% favorable, and his coverage as a newscaster of former President Trump has been 93% negative, it's hard to see that him as somebody who's an unbiased questioner of both candidates.
Right, and I don't understand if people realize how diabolical that is, because David Muir is not like me. He's not a talk show host who has to opine about his opinions for 3 straight hours. He's a guy who is a news anchor at a news desk, which is supposed to at least pretend to be unbiased, but when the numbers come out, if it's that skewed, that's not an accident, and it's not like what my liberal friends tell me when they're like, the truth has a liberal bias. No, that's a little bit more. He's clearly a politically motivated actor to give 100% positive coverage to the lady who 3 months ago was the least popular vice president in American history.
Well, yes. And from a national security standpoint, one thing that jumped out at me was the discussion about Vladimir Putin and the vice president's role in trying to prevent the Ukraine war in February of 2022, which she just deflected into, I meet with Zelensky, I don't meet with Putin, when Trump asserted that negotiation had failed. But what had happened is she went on this trip, which was touted by her staff in the press as the most consequential foreign policy trip of her vice presidency, to go to the Munich conference and send a really strong message directly to Vladimir Putin. And there are all sorts of reasons why Munich was a charged location. But if you read her speech, which is online, we know exactly what she said to Putin. In that, she said, don't go into Ukraine, that NATO would be united, there would be catastrophic economic consequences. And that was on the 19th of February, and he went in 3 days later. So, the fact of the matter is Trump was correct. She failed in her mission to deter the war. There was no negotiation.
Victoria, hang on a second. You're so right about that, but no one's talking about that today. And that's what's so frustrating is on the stuff that at Morton's, the actual policy positions, the actual record of her performance as vice president should be what people are using to make their decision. But we're talking about eating dogs. Victoria? Eating dogs. It's that dumb.
That's why I was happy to come on with you, because I wanted to try to make that point that she was not held to any sort of account last night. So people who are undecided.
Well, listen, Victoria, me and the James Show listeners totally appreciated that, but that is way too smart for the average American undecided voter. It's totally over their head. And y'all got a little free promotion with Project 2025 being brought up again. The Heritage Foundation, man, y'all are such a player this election cycle like none other.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, we're a think tank. What do they think we're doing? It's crazy. But they can't seem to get away from it, and they're just obsessed with Project 2025.
Yeah, you're not just a think tank. You're the think tank of Satan himself. That's Victoria Coates from the Heritage Foundation. Thanks for being on the James Show. Coming up next, Megyn Kelly had her immediate reaction to the debate, and it's hilarious. She went on a cussing spree. Now, I'll play the audio, but I did beep out all the cussing. And you've never heard Megyn Kelly mad, but you're going to like Megyn Kelly mad. Coming up in about 5 minutes on the James Show. If you want to jump in, I can maybe squeeze in a call or two. 800-288-9227. It's the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. David in Bedford, your thoughts on last night's debate, sir?
Yes, sir. There's no doubt in my mind that President Trump won, of course. He may have won strategically. Maybe she won tactically. Who knows? She did show she can do something besides word salad, but she was also on the attack. And President Trump was holding back on some of that. As a matter of fact, if you remember Muhammad Ali, I think President Trump was throwing a little rope-a-dope on her. Let her talk. Let her talk.
Now, do you think the people who didn't watch the debate are going to come away with a similar conclusion based on the coverage of the debate?
I think that they're going to understand she has no policies. She still has no policies. He let everybody know that she adopted President Biden's policies at the last minute before the debate. She has no policies. She wants to give away money. That, of course, a lot of people like that part. She wants to just continue to give away money, and she has no answers for that open border and the murders and the killing that's going on all across America. He drove that point home very well. So I'm just saying, President Trump, he didn't win totally too big because he held back some. I totally believe that. He had to defend against three people attacking him, the moderators and her.
Well, David, I don't want to crush your enthusiasm because I mean, you're a nice, optimistic guy here, but I want to remind you, 55 days from now, we're going to find out if hating Trump is enough of a platform. She doesn't need a platform if she can get by on just hating Trump. So far, that's actually worked really well for her. And that's all that Joe Biden ran on in 2020, and he managed to walk away with the win. So, I mean, I hate to disappoint you. Actually, the rest of the American voting electorate has a terrible history of disappointing you, David.
I know, and I understand that. And yes, I am enthusiastic. Hopefully that common sense people are going to come through, and the young people who can fact check a lot of what she was saying, the fact checking and what they were doing, hopefully we'll see the truth. But, hey, like you said, I'll pull it down a notch or two and realize, yes, if it can change it to hating Trump for what I do not know, other than the fact he is a leader. A lot of people like a strong leader. She's not strong, and she's not a leader. Yeah. And I'd like to think that's going to pull through at the end of the day.
Well, what I'm hoping is a lot of people who were on the fence or young people who think Trump is just dumb and they believe whatever they see on TV and they think ABC was right to correct him and all that. Go look up the dog stuff. The number one thing, the fact check that they're still saying this morning is like, no one's killing and eating pets in Springfield. And I played you 4 different clips of people eating pets or killing a duck or killing the neighbor's cat and eating it. Like there's a body cam footage of a cop in Springfield responding to the call of a Haitian lady who took the neighbor's cat and spit roasted it and was eating it in front of the neighbors. There are witnesses saying, yeah, she was eating the cat. And so David Muir, I don't know if he has not seen that video or if he thinks it's just a fake or maybe it's from like 12 years ago or it just hasn't been confirmed, but he talked to the city manager and the city manager said it's not happening. So it looks like you're wrong. So frustrating. It was the big problem really even wasn't Trump last night. It was the moderators. Megyn Kelly was not a fan of the job the ABC moderators did. This was her last night, right after the debate.
When Trump tried to say that his comment that he lost 2020 by a whisker was him being sarcastic, David Muir actually injected saying, I didn't hear sarcasm. Who gives a what you heard? Who died and left you political analyst in chief? You're supposed to be the objective news anchor of World News Tonight. That's a comment you make to your significant other, David, not on the debates. It didn't sound like that to me. Shut up.
What the real? I love it when Megyn Kelly gets upset. Shut up. Did he ever do that to Kamala? Yeah, that's not what you meant when you said you're going to ban fracking or ban plastic straws or you were the border czar. That's not what you said. No corrections there. And Megyn Kelly rightfully pointed out that practically speaking, it was 3-1 last night.
I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting. And they did Dana Walden's bidding tonight. It was 3-1.
Look, that's the norm, though. You know, Candy Crowley is friends with Barack Obama when she corrected Mitt Romney in the debate that she moderated a few years ago. Martha Raddatz, when she made the correction, I think it was against Sarah Palin or whatnot. No. It was, I think that was another Obama debate. Martha Raddatz, when she got married in 1991, Obama was at her wedding. You don't understand what good friends these moderators, what politically activist allies these moderators are in all these debates. Megyn Kelly.
The worst piece of all of this is the obvious tactic by ABC News, which was as follows. Mr. Trump, you said something incredibly controversial and terrible.
Right.
Let me remind you of what it was. Do you have any regrets or thoughts on how terrible you were?
Right.
Trump answers. Vice President Harris, how bad is Trump? And then she'd answer. It happened over and over again. That was the format. Mr. Trump, you're a piece of Kamala Harris, isn't he a Thank you.
She's not wrong. And I made the warning yesterday that the coverage following the debate isn't going to be about the platforms or the policies or the positions that the candidates took and talked about and supported and debated. They're going to take the single clip of audio that makes Donald Trump look the worst. That will be the headline. That will be the discussion point from here on out. And what is it? Eating dogs. This is why we're talking about eating dogs. Not the border, not inflation, not anything that actually affects you. We're talking about eating dogs. Megyn Kelly says it was so bad she thinks it might backfire. I think I disagree with her on this one.
I think it was so bad, their bias against him and toward her, that it's going to backfire. I actually think the American public is going to see through this, and there's probably going to be some empathy for Trump. No fair-minded person could think anything other than that they were in the tank for him, and it was 3-1 on that.
So that will conclude our debate coverage for today. If you want to go let ABC News know how they did, they are linked on the front of the WBAP Facebook page right now, so you can just click through and give them a piece of your mind. Also, we have the Dallas Heart Walk coming up. American Heart Association's Heart Walk raises money to teach people CPR, to fund research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Walk to save lives. Register at DallasHeartWalk.org or TarrantCountyHeartWalk.org. Thanks for hanging out with the James Show. Stay put. Mark Levin's coming up next. If you need more of me, I'm about to step aside and put up the podcast at WBAP.com and the WBAP app. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.